North Smithfield Town Council meeting, April 15th, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you give us a prayer and the pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Beauregard?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Here.
Mr. Ogier?
Here.
Ms. Alves?
Here. Next item, open forum pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum 15 minutes, and that's going to be 3 minutes per person that we're going to have to carefully watch tonight. CJ, do you have a timer? Thank you. First person is Mr. Grubb.
Thank you. Richard Grubb, Fowler Street, North Smithfield. Get near the microphone. I wanted, is it not on? I wanted to mention before I said anything, I talked for 7 minutes last time. That was a mistake. I didn't know anything like this was behind me. I spoke first, and I didn't realize until someone else got up, and I'm like, what the heck is that? So I would recommend, first of all, that we put that somewhere where the speakers can actually see it, but that's not the reason I'm here. I would like you to be patient with me a little bit. I want to go back to the March 18th Town Council meeting where the Town Council approved allowing the administrator to sign a use permit for PEZA on Pound Hill Road. A couple of strange things about that meeting, or at least they seem strange to me. So please bear with me. I wrote down the times. I'm not going to bother with that, but I'll tell you that the meeting was in executive session until about the 1 hour and 6 minute mark. They came out. Mr. Ogier said, and I quote from the transcript, "All right, so I'll make a motion to come out of executive session and reconvene into open session. Let the record record that no vote was taken, and we should seal the minutes." That was seconded and voted upon. There was then a few minutes devoted to some town license things. Various companies in town, mostly food related, asked for permission to do things. And then at 1:13, I believe it was Ms. Alves said, we're going to move up the agenda and talk about something that was lower down the agenda. I mentioned before I didn't think that was really fair to the people that wanted to speak on that, but I failed to notice what else happened. So a few minutes after that, Mr. Robenheimer got up, said it was his mission to read into the record what exactly the council was giving authority to the administrator to approve. At 18 minutes past the hour, Mr. Beauregard asked for clarification of the recent comments compared to the discussion inside. So obviously there had been some talk in what? 17 seconds. Oh, crap. Anyway, I ended up with 5 questions. I'm going to skip 1, 2. Why did they wait to vote when they came back out of executive session if they didn't have to? Why did they not allow public discussion until after the vote was taken? And then, is there a potential conflict in returning an attorney who previously represented PEZA? And the last question, am I, as a private citizen, entitled to answers to these questions, or is it up to the mood of the individuals on the town council whether they choose to answer? I've made copies, so obviously I used up my time again.
Goes by so fast. Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to answer?
Clerk's over there. The town clerk should have one.
So, Mr. Grubb, the only question that I can answer personally is the reason that we moved the agenda item was just due to the attorney fees, because that second item was way down the agenda, so the only reason we moved that up was to limit the attorney fee. That was the only reason for the move in the agenda. And usually we always do that. If there is an attorney in the audience, we do usually move that up just so we don't have them sitting here for 6 or 7 hours while we get down to the agenda. That's the reason for the move of the agenda. The next one is R. De Cristofaro.
Yes, that's me, sorry. Long last name, so I only put my last name.
I'm sorry?
Rebecca De Cristofaro, 1931 Pound Hill Road. I spoke at the last town council meeting. Thank you all again for your time this evening. I just want to cover off on a few points of concern that I've actually sent to the town council, town administrator, and our building and zoning officials since our last town meeting in March. I've received response on some of the emails, but I've also been told that there's ongoing litigation, which I'm inclined to assume has really inhibited you from replying to some of my emails. So I'd like to start, and I'm talking fast because I only have 3 minutes, but I'd like to start by responding to some misinformation that we've seen and heard regarding the current status of the Pound Hill Quarry. That misinformation being that Pound Hill Realty LLC is grandfathered into nonconformity privileges. That is inaccurate. Nonconformity privileges for quarrying the Pound Hill Quarry were lost as of January 2013 when Pound Hill Realty LLC purchased the quarry through a $1.3 million quitclaim deed from Leonard and Constance Pezza. Judge Procaccini's summary judgment from December of 2023 was pretty clear, right? So the plaintiff, being Material Sand and Stone or Pound Hill Realty LLC, must apply for a road use permit and for zoning variance. So that preferential road use permit was applied for and approved at the last town council meeting. And I say preferential road use permit because formerly there was a limit of 20 trucks per day. Now that road use permit allows for as many trucks as the business needs that time of day. And sometimes we see up to 80 to 100 trucks per day. Per the summary judgment, too, in the interim, Pound Hill Realty LLC can maintain their status quo to prevent economic harm to their business, which means that Pound Hill Realty can continue their operation while they apply for variances. It's been 4 months, and there's still no sign of application, at least that we've all been made aware of, for a zoning variance. And the absence of any update or progress is really leading people to assume that history is repeating itself here. And once again, we're circumnavigating the zoning process and running the risk of allowing zoning violations to continue in perpetuity. Judge Procaccini did state in the summary judgment that this business owner historically resorts to judicial relief rather than pursuing zoning variance. And why? I think a few reasons may include that, one, the property is not grandfathered into the pre-1979 zoning ordinance nonconformity privileges. 2, application for zoning variance would assess the history and ongoing business's activities, resulting in noncompliance and violations of zoning ordinances. Some of these violations include, but are not limited to, loss of nonconformity, quarrying restricted acreage, having breached the water table and in turn creating prohibited permanent ponds on the quarry property, and lack of fencing around and within the property. And number 3, zoning variance would go to public forum, at least is my understanding. Public forum would in turn allow for public comments. Neighboring residents take issue with the quarry operation, given the degradation of life and public health concerns, and would gladly speak out regarding the scope of the business, the amount of traffic, noise, as well as fugitive dust concerns that are experienced on a daily basis. So theoretically, given all of these infractions, there would be cause for revocation of their license to operate as is within our very own zoning ordinances. Without,
Mrs., do you have just a little bit more to go, or?
I do have a little bit more to go. I will only be maybe 30 seconds.
Okay. Go
Without a certificate of compliance, there's no license to revoke. Without pursuance of zoning variance, there's no forum to review the business's activities and lack of permitting. So if zoning variance is being circumvented, we as the residents of this town and neighbors to the quarry really need to be able to trust that our needs and well-being will be taken into consideration during the ongoing litigation. Can we trust that this business will no longer be given preferential treatment, or that their operations will no longer be overlooked and as a result allowed? And that the residents' rights here will really be acknowledged, respected, and upheld. So really, in summary, everything I've covered were concerns that were outlined in some of the emails that I've sent in the last few weeks. And in fairness, I've received 2 emails, responses on the related topics, but really no responses relating back to what was covered this evening. So I really wanted to take some time to outline those concerns and to just implore everybody to, as this ongoing litigation continues, to really take the citizens and the residents of North Smithfield's needs and rights into consideration during this ongoing litigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Scott Walling?
Scott Walling, 563 Greenville Road. I guess I'm strike 3 from Material Sand and Stone. I'm here again because summer's coming. We're going to smell the asphalt plant. We're going to see the trucks going by. I don't believe he's allowed to be doing what he's doing. He's applied for a certificate of zoning for a 2 to 3 ton unit. I handed you the pictures of that plant, which I don't think that's 2 to 3 ton. Maybe that's the smallest he can do, but he certainly can do more. And that's what I'm afraid of. We need something straightened out here. This could be the same situation he did in Johnston, Rhode Island, where he took out a permit for a small plant and put a bigger one in, and nobody watched. Well, I'm watching, and I hope everybody gets on board and watches with me, because this is for the whole neighborhood. Most of the people they're at work, they're not available. I smell it, it comes right into my house. I'm outside all the time. I sit there, I gotta smell it. You know, if he's legal, I guess I gotta bite my bullet. But the 3 of us that spoke right now are all on the same corporation. On this beautiful night, we're here, wasting your time, complaining. We need action done. I mean, you know, it's getting overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's an accessory use, and I believe he's extended it, you know, as those pictures look. I don't know, I'm not a professional, but I would say that's bigger than 2 to 3 tons per batch. And I don't know how many batches he can do, but the trucks go back and forth. If they're going to Woonsocket, they have to go back and forth by my house. So I see those. And it's very frustrating when I feel that he's not in his legal right, but yet it's going on. Just like everywhere else. I don't know what he's got on this town. And offering free supplies, free asphalt to the town to save money, I don't go by that. I'd rather pay for it. We're paying taxes in this town to get this for our neighborhood, to get a break on asphalt for potholes or whatever. I don't think it's fair. You know, this is not a portable plant, as you can see. There's a dump truck in the top picture. It looks like a Tonka truck next to that plant. Can you see it up at the top?
Yeah.
It's very small. So that's a 10-wheel dump truck. So that just goes to show you the size of that plant. And there's 3 tanks that are laying down. They're ready to go up. So the fight we're in right now, I'm afraid that we'll be back here if it doesn't get stopped. We'll be paving all night long. So you're going to hear, then you're going to hear from your neighbors. You might not hear from them now because they don't know what's going on. Nobody buys the paper. Nobody pays attention. But he's setting up for a bigger plant from what I see. So then you're going to have us back here at night for the processing of the asphalt. So I'm asking you, somebody to go out there and inspect what he applied for that size batching machine, or would you buy us a big machine just to do 2 to 3 batches, or do you have plans to go farther? So I think the state DEM, everybody has to get involved. Somebody has to make the move for me. I can't do it. We need to get out there and inspect that plant and see the size of it. That's what I'm asking you to do. And you won't hear from me if we get a solution to this. I hate to keep bothering you. Guys got your time, but we need our help. Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. The next item is North Smithfield Town Council sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. A, discussion by council vote or other action on transfer of Class BV liquor and victualling license, DBA Lotus Fine Thai, owner Auto Loan Tanaka Home? No, sorry.
Isn't that a tea place?
Located at 175 Eddie Dowling Highway. Public hearing. Anyone want to make a motion to?
Can I have some, isn't that a tea house right now? Is it what? A tea house? No. That's not that building that's up there now?
It's always been Lotus. It's always been the restaurant we're just doing today.
Right.
Point of order. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a motion, is there a second? We have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Anyone like to speak during the public hearing? Another, anyone like to speak?
Can I make a comment now, Madam Secretary?
Sure.
You do not serve any type of liquor now, correct? No. Okay. I just wondered, because I know there's another establishment there that does. And, but I always looked about it as a tea room. You know, yet windows very nice, et cetera. What are the hours? You're going to be serving liquor?
Can
We
you
can-
come up to the,
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I can't.
So if nobody's willing to speak, I'll make a motion to close the public
Yeah,
hearing, and then we
because We
can.
can ask
Right.
questions
Yeah.
after the
Okay.
public hearing.
Okay.
second?
We have a motion, and a second, to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Did you want to come up to the podium, whoever wants to speak on behalf? Hi, you can just pull that down, there you go.
Oh. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, just state your name, please.
My name is Udalan Tarakan. I just purchased Lotus Fine Thai Cuisine on 175 Eddie Dowling Highway, and I'm just here to get my liquor license approval.
Okay. All right, and Claire, did you want to ask the questions?
Now, this will be a full-scale restaurant,
Yes.
serving liquor now?
Yes.
With whatever you're
Yes.
you're serving? Okay. And it's only till 9?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, is everything in order?
Everything's in order? Yes. Okay. Anyone on the council have any other questions? Are you currently open now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for Lotus Fine Thai at 17580 Dowling Highway, Lotus Restaurant, Unit B in North Smithfield.
That's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Thank you.
All set?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion by council vote or other action on holiday/peddler/hawker license, DBA Keystone Fireworks Tents located at 900 Victory Highway, Slatersville Plaza. Applicant is Alex Mutzba. Would you state your name, please?
Ed McMahon, Cumberland, Rhode Island. I'm the Rhode Island manager for the Keystone. I was asked to appear here. I guess the council had some questions, maybe? I was here a couple of years back before they went online with everything. You know.
Yeah.
Hours will be?
9 to 10.
Okay, we have 9 to 9 here. Madam Clerk?
We have 9 to 9.
Nine to 9? Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
That works, okay.
And that's from June 21st to July 6th?
Right. No, that's from June 18th to July 11th. I think that's what he submitted, right?
That's not what he put on the application.
Oh, okay. Just tell me what he put on there.
If we can change the dates, we'll correct the application if it's okay with the council.
No, it sounds like somebody that is in charge put that on there, and he's just
I'm the
came over here to
manager.
just
Yeah.
represent
Right.
the company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if
right.
I can go in and change the dates on the application if it's okay with the council to the correct dates.
But it
that-
doesn't
Well,
sound
no,
like that's
Miss-
necessary.
Yeah, that's what Mr.
He's
Biergard's
just,
saying.
he's just doing what he was told here to come here and represent the company, and it was somebody else that put this information on the application.
Right, Alex did.
Alex.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
So what's on the application is what we're going to go by then?
Right.
So we're going to go
Right.
from June 21st to July 6th with the
Okay.
hours of 9 to 9.
June 21st to July 6th. And it'll be from 9 to 9.
Correct.
Okay. Like I said, I've been here a couple of years back before they went online, and if there was any problems, I don't think there was any problems. You know.
Okay. And
Good.
everything's in order?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
make a motion to approve Keystone Fireworks tents. Dates of operation are seasonal, be running 6/21/24 to 7/6/24 at 900 Victory Highway in North Smithfield.
Second motion?
Can you just say the hours of 9 to 9?
Oh, I'm so sorry, the hours are 9 to 9.
Thank you.
Sorry.
We have a motion, Claudia, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes, all set, thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. See you next year.
Okay. Next item is presentation of the fiscal year 2023 audit. Cheryl Langevin.
Good evening, I'm Cheryl Langevin from Beacon and Company. I was the manager on your engagement. We have the audit partner, Pat Boucher, here also. So I'm just going to do a brief overview of the audit report. I think, looks like most of you have it.
Cheryl, can you just talk into the mic, because you have such a little tiny voice, so we want to make sure it gets picked up.
Better?
Oh, that's good,
Okay.
thank you.
So first of all, on page 1 of the audit report is the audit opinion, and you received an unmodified audit opinion this year. Following the audit report is management's discussion and analysis, which is basically an executive summary prepared by the finance director. So I'm going to start at page 13 and 14, which are the government-wide statements. So it's the statements for the entire town on the accrual basis of accounting, much like a private business. So towards the bottom of page 13, in the first column, which is governmental activities, which is basically the general fund and the governmental funds of the town, you'll see you ended the year with a net position of about $34 million. Of that amount, almost $41 million is invested in capital assets. Then you have various other restrictions, and there is an unrestricted deficit of almost $17 million. Next column over is the business type activities, which are basically the water and sewer fund combined. Towards the bottom of the page, you'll see you ended the year with net position of about $12 million. Of that amount, almost $2 million was invested in capital assets. You had $260,000 restricted and about $4.5 million unrestricted. If you flip to page 14, you've got the statement of activities. So the governmental activities increased net position, so it's towards the bottom of the page, of $6.8 million this year. And business type activities increased net position of about $850,000. Starting on page 15 are your fund financial statements. So these are probably more what you're used to seeing, the more detailed information. Page basically page 15 and 17 are your governmental fund financial statements. So the general fund, towards the bottom of the page, you ended the year with almost $12 million in fund balance. Of that amount, about 9.1 million was unassigned. Next to that is the school unrestricted fund. The school unrestricted fund ended the year with 2.3 million in fund balance. Next to that, you have your opera fund, which had no fund balance. It's basically you recognize your revenues and expenses equal, but you had unearned revenue of almost 3.6 million, so that's still left to be spent, basically. The final column is your other governmental funds, which are basically all the other special revenue capital project funds of the towns combined. So you ended the year with about 4.2 million of fund balance. Page 17 is basically the activity schedule. So the general fund had a net decrease towards the bottom of the page of 155,000 for the year. The school unrestricted fund had a net increase of 565,000, and the other non-major funds had an increase of 167. On pages 19 and 20 are the sewer and water funds, the proprietary funds. So you'll see the water fund ended the year with a net position of 3.1 million, and sewer fund ended the year with net position of 8.8 million. If you flip to page 20, the water fund had an increase in net position of about 500,000, and the sewer fund had an increase in net position of 350,000. So that's a very brief overview of the financials. On page 23 and 24, you have your fiduciary funds, so your OPEB fund. So you ended the year with about $2 million in your OPEB fund. Following that statement, there are a lot of notes that has a lot of detail about the financials, but I'm sure you're interested to see your budgetary statements, which start on page 94. So the general fund's budgetary statements are on page 94 and 95. So the general fund had a budgetary surplus of 500,000, and the school unrestricted fund also had a budgetary surplus of about 570,000. Does anyone have any questions on the financials, the notes,
Not yet.
anything in particular? I also just want to point out towards the back of the report on page 124, we did a yellow book audit and uniform guidance audit. So the findings related to that are on page 124 and 125. So we basically had a finding related to financial reporting and closing procedures. So there was some delays this year in completing the required reconciliations for the bank accounts and the receivables. So that's a brief summary of that finding on page 124. And then at the bottom of 124 onto 125, there's a finding just related to capital assets. We just had quite a few corrections to the list and that type of thing. And there needs to be at least a biannual, I would say, inventory of the actual assets to the list. So that was our comment there.
With the backup of the bank statements, how far backed up were we?
I know at one point you were at least 6 months behind, I believe. I'd have to go back to my, Tony, does that sound about right?
At least 6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
So did we put a process in place now that they are done monthly or by the end of the following month?
We're not caught up just yet. We're still in the process of catching up. Like I said, we just fixed a problem that we had with the bank that we were waiting on for a while. We're still waiting on Vision for another thing, which has us backed up quite a bit. So as we go through each month, we usually run into some type of issue. We try to fix it as quick as possible. But again, we're only a few months out. One of them, unfortunately, I think it's sewer, that's backed up to August. But that's usually pretty quick. Again, it's just a technical issue on the software side of Vision. But I'm going to be, Cheryl and I had talked about having some type of audit, monthly audit procedures in place. It's a big undertaking of a job to get that in place, but I do want, that is a goal of
Or
mine
even like
here.
a monthly checklist. Or,
Yeah, I've talked to Jerry Ann about it, and that's something that we want. Just, she's been working on things, because there's things that she does or I do that's once a year or once every, semi-annually that we don't remember. We're trying to start a list of things that we do to get that on paper and then work around that.
So, well, I know you probably don't have an opinion, because you have certain opinions, and then other opinions you don't identify, which I understand. But would you recommend that we get assistance to catch up, and then, sort of where we've fallen behind, and then get to a point where we're current, and then moving forward, take care of it?
So how are you right now as far as, the main concern is the bank reconciliations and the receivable reconciliations. Are you caught up at this point, or are you
No.
still?
If I remember correctly, I think we're in February,
Okay.
so, which is, a lot
So
better.
it's certainly up to you, if you wanted to get extra help, sometimes it's harder for somebody to come in who's not familiar with
Right.
performing the actual reconciliation. It'll take them twice as long, so.
Which
It-
we've had
it would
before. I know that from what I've heard before I came here, we had help from an external municipality, and it was a wash within the amount of time that we had to teach them what we do versus them, and then once we teach them, they have to go and do it. It's basically a wash at that point. I'd say maybe if we had help like a while ago, we might have gotten caught up faster, but at this point, we're pretty close to self-sustaining. I don't know if it would be,
So you think you're about 3 months behind now?
I'd say, 3 months, I'd say, because like I said, February is about where we're at with most things,
With the exception of sewer?
with the exception of that, yeah. Again, we check on that, like, at least once or twice a week. Problem is, Vision's just so overwhelmed. That's a whole nother conversation, but they're just very overwhelmed with all the other municipalities. But it is something I had put in the budget, some type of assistance within my departments when that time comes.
So how quick do you think you can catch up those 9 months of water sewer?
Oh, that should be, maybe, it all depends on if she runs into other issues between then and now. There shouldn't be, again, we never know, but that should be like a 2-week, maximum 2-week thing among the other things that she has to do. But yeah, that shouldn't take too long. Sewer is never something that takes forever.
Any other questions on the report?
So I didn't notice it in here, and maybe it doesn't, this audit doesn't hit on it, but we're always hearing about all this old receivable that's on the books, and they're sending them out for collection, or it's old. I didn't see any of that in here. Do you actually review that, or do you
As far as like property taxes or?
all the receivables is just old uncollectible taxes that are sitting there, right? So that's not something you review in this?
We review property taxes. Obviously, we do quite a bit of testing on property taxes and property tax revenue. The town has an allowance set up. We review that. We don't specifically look at individual accounts. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like what's out there that, years old that's sitting on the books. Like
Yeah.
that would be something that,
We don't look at individual accounts. The town has, I'm not sure who you're using right now for your collection agency.
MCU, or Municipal Collection, MCA.
Yeah.
MCU.
So we look at it from an overall perspective. We look at the allowance the town has set up. So you have an allowance set up for uncollectible accounts. That is an estimate. We review that estimate. We look at, the subsidiary ledger. You can, if you get a printout of the subsidiary, you can see specifically which years are outstanding and what the balances are.
all No, how many cities and towns do you do in the state?
In the state?
Anywhere from
8 to 10. Do you recommend like a full audit being done with certain cities and towns? Like, you know, there's changes of finance directors in different cities and towns. Do you recommend, after so many changes of that position, that they do like a full audit of the books, or do you not recommend that?
We're doing a full audit of your
Like
books, but you're
internal
talking.
controls and, yeah. So you don't recommend, depending on how many times it's changed?
Yeah, and those are very costly.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, it would be management would decide if they feel they need that.
Mhm.
Because if we're in here just, you know, doing the audit of the financial statements.
Right.
For the requirements of state law and your local laws and federal law for the single audit. So what you'd be looking at be much more detailed audit than we're doing. To recommend that, if you would have a lot of material weaknesses, if that was the case, if you had a lot of material weaknesses, then that might be a recommendation.
Okay.
But primarily, we feel that the material weaknesses, new accounting system, new tax collection, billing system, new personnel, things fell behind. And I know there has been problems with that vision system with other communities.
Okay.
The support and so
I don't know
forth.
if we can hear her.
That's been an issue, especially the utility side. So I don't know if I answered your question. So it's not usually a recommendation unless it was like really something severe or we felt fraud was involved or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pat, how much off the top of your roundabout would
Can you, Pat,
something like that
can
be?
you go to the,
Oh, sorry.
go to the, I'm sorry, the microphone, because we'll never pick you up.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
No, just general question. How much would something like what they're requesting be?
Oh, I would have no idea. It would really depend the size firm you got in there, and you would have to really define the scope of what you
Yeah.
would want.
Yeah.
It could be very costly,
Yeah, like-
especially if you got a larger firm, you know, they'd be charging you by the hour, more than likely. You could get a fixed price, but it could be very costly depending on what the scope would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, before you sit down, so I have lots of highlighted stuff here that I just want to make sure that we've identified things and that we have, at least to the best of your knowledge, processes in place, you know, for prevention at this point, right? So I know you said there were a lot of material misstatements detected as a result of the audit. An adjusting entry of $673,000 recorded in general fund to correct school state aid, an adjusting entry of $3,576,000 for American Rescue Plan Fund, recorded unearned revenue. Another entry of $140,000 was recorded in Water Fund. Another adjusting entry of $1,719,000 in governmental activities to correct capital assets as of June. These are all as of June 30, 2023. Do you feel comfortable that we have enough procedures in place for these things to be minimized?
So I don't know if you want to go through each one, or?
Yeah, so I mean, these are things that were corrected,
These
but
are-
we're required to disclose
Right.
to you.
Mhm.
So, you know, basically, that first finding that we talked about on page 124 about financial closing, a lot of this stuff would be, you know, caught in a more formalized financial closing process if it was done monthly. I know with, you know, the change in personnel,
Right.
they were behind a little bit this year. You know, I think if you had a more formalized monthly process, some of this stuff would have been probably caught sooner, and plus it was the first year with, you know, a new finance director and that type of thing. So I think if you get caught up and you're doing your reconciliations and you're reviewing your financial reports on a regular basis and making corrections, this probably, you know, will not be the case next year. But, you know, obviously, the second one, the American Rescue Plan, that is basically, it got recorded to revenue, and you can't record it as revenue until you spend it. So that was just moving it to the correct account.
Okay.
And pretty much every town that we do did the same thing, but because of the size of the amount, we had to disclose that.
Yeah, so that would be, I guess, the observation that you also noted, that revenues are recorded to expenditure accounts in several of the funds. So that is
Again,
what, so that's
yes.
referencing that?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel, like I said, if there was more, when you're trying to catch up like that.
Right.
And trying to, get ready for the audit because they were late, we were trying to, get started, that type of thing.
Sure.
I feel like if, you do that monthly, it's a lot more manageable, if you review your reports and also it was a new accounting system, so I think there may have been, you can
Well, I wasn't.
speak to that, but I think there
Yeah, a
may
little
have
bit.
possibly been some, issues with.
Yeah, I wasn't here for I was only here for the last like 2 months of this fiscal year, but from what I heard, there was a lot of, it was a big undertaking to go to refinance. So
Okay.
there was going to be some type of issues, and especially like Cheryl had said, when you're switching from one finance director to another, there's going to be some things that are that don't get seen, unfortunately. It's not an excuse, but it's just the reality of it.
Okay, and the second one was the police detail receivables. The town didn't have a subsidiary listing of the receivables. So there's an unreconciled variance right now. Has that been corrected?
I am not sure.
Which one are you talking about? I'm sorry.
The unreconciled
police detail.
variance when the police details?
That's on the management letter, page 3.
You're talking about the 33,000?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
that
what it was.
I'm pretty sure that was corrected, because I remember that amount. Me and Jerry Ann went pretty in depth with that. I'd have to just recheck with Val, because that was switched over to the police department, just to be, I'm like 98% sure that that's been taken care of. I haven't followed up with it since, so.
Part of the problem with the police detail was you were doing it on an Excel spreadsheet, and
Yeah.
from what I understand, they've installed an actual
Yeah.
software system.
Correct. Yeah.
Which should make it much easier, and again, checking it monthly, making sure it agrees monthly, that type of thing will aid in correcting the problem.
Okay, then there were tax exempt forms that couldn't be located for 3 of the 6 tax bills that selected for testing. So it looked like we didn't have any system to establish supporting documentation
Oh,
for
actually,
tax exemption.
This is, so on page 4, this is in section 2, these are prior comments, and we update
Right.
the status. So this
Mhm.
year, we were able to find the exemption form.
So
So like if
everything
you
look-
look at the status,
That
so
was
that's
corrected.
been corrected,
Okay,
yes.
great, thanks. So are you feeling comfortable with the prior year observations then, that a lot of the things are caught? So the property tax and utility receivable reconciliations weren't completed in a timely manner? They
That's-
have been completed now?
That's why this last year, they were a little bit behind. This year, they were more behind, so we upgraded it to the audit report as a finding.
Yes.
So that was the one we were just discussing.
So that is, okay.
They're
So it's
working on
carried
it.
over?
Yes, it's
from-
carried forward from 2022.
Okay, I guess the last one would have been, again, a prior year observation during the performance of the audit procedures of the water. A customer refund of over $100,000 hadn't been paid to credited to the customer's account to date. And the recommendation was to go ahead and do that, and the management response was that they'll be reviewing. So I didn't know if that was completed.
This has been carried for quite some
Yeah,
time.
2015.
It's been- Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna
Mhm.
say, I think it was right.
Yeah.
The first year we did the audit, I think.
The customer it relates to, they've tried to work with them, they
Yeah.
got close, it's,
Okay.
I don't,
So-
know if it's the type of thing, obviously it's up to management where you issue them a credit, like they tried to talk to them about issuing the refund, and I guess they didn't get very far, but.
Okay. All right, so
That's
that's an
still-
unreconciled issue at this
Yes.
point, still carried
Yes,
from
that's been
2015,
carried
16,
from-
17
yes.
to date. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
have any other questions on any, because you have, well, we went through the letters, but you have 2 other letters from us. So you're all set. Any other
Yeah.
questions, anything else you'd like to discuss? Anybody else?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to make a motion to accept the audit report?
I'll make a motion to accept the audit report as presented for fiscal year '23.
Second motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thank you. Discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. Anybody have any questions or like to make a motion?
I just have more of a comment for Tony. Tony, this, we have in the bills now with the submit any questions regarding payment of the bills, minimum 48 hours. I just,
No.
I can't commit to that. I just can't, because sometimes I might look at the packet on Thursday or Friday, but other times I might be looking at it at, you know, at 4 o'clock on Monday. You know, I can't commit to that.
So, and then I would say if, which is basically the consensus, that, which is fine, I get it.
If you have a problem, if you can't answer something, I have no problem me saying, I'll get back to you on that.
Right, that's all I
fine.
was gonna say, is basically, can I?
That's
do
fine.
that? Because I don't, I mean, it's 150
I understand.
bills for me to memorize
Yeah,
every.
just say, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I can, or you can approve it excluding a couple of things, and I can respond
Okay.
to the council later, whatever.
All right,
whatever
thanks.
works.
I'm still going to go back to our last conversation, though, when we had that Thursday meeting with the payment of bills, is I just think there needs to be more oversight with what's hitting the.
I mean, I
the
see every
payment of
bill.
bills, so that way, when we do ask questions, that you can answer them, because you should be the last line of defense, right? So you
Yeah.
should know exactly what's on here and what.
Well, I'm
we're
not gonna
paying.
memorize 150 line items, though, that's
You're not
the
going to
thing.
memorize all of them, but you're going to memorize the big ones.
Yeah, I mean, sure,
You know,
I can,
so
I can do
don't
my
think
best.
that there should be a lot of back and forth here. I think if you are going through this and, you know, especially the last page, if you're gonna start giving us this detailed expenditure report, I would
Mhm.
definitely go through it every week and say, hey, okay, this is, you know, I'm out of budget here, I'm out of budget here, I need to know why, so that you can come to us and let us know, because you know we're gonna ask the question.
Yeah,
So,
understood.
so yeah, I'm not asking you to know what, you know, a Conica bill is for $15, but I think I'm gonna ask you, you know, what one of the bigger items are, and I think as the finance director, you should know what that big bill is that you're paying.
No, yeah, I understand, you have to, you know, back and forth with certain things. When something super small, like you had said, I'm not gonna memorize something very small and
No, but
minute.
I think the things of,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I have questions.
go ahead.
Okay, so I have a couple of thousand questions. No, I'm only kidding. I have number 6, Budget Unit 101, Martone Service Company for $32,000 for Forestdale School.
That was through, that went through the reserves. That was for NSHA, if I remember correctly. I have the last email that was from NSHA.
So did we pay for repairs or something, you think?
It was for the, I was holding on to it. This had been done for a while. I had been waiting on the wage reports from Martone for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months. And I had just gotten it just in time for the bills. But this was, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find exactly what they were replacing. It was a pretty large packet. So it was roof repairs and install of the west side stairs.
Okay, so did we pay for that, or did they get a grant for that? Or are we paying for that?
So we paid part of it, and then Heritage Association also paid part of that. So they paid $57,000 of it. And then we paid the difference, the $32,644.
Wow. Okay.
And this is all, like I said, this came from reserves, so this is from prior, a while back.
Okay. Okay, on page 6 of the expenditure, in dispatch, it looks like we're over in several line items on longevity, on the MERS, on
Yeah.
FICA, health insurance, everything. Is there a reason for that?
So it's two-part. A, it's overtime. Overtime's going to drag that over. And then secondly, we had, which was, like I mentioned earlier, this is part of when you're switching from finance director to finance director, there was a miss on an employee's longevity. So their cells formula wasn't filled in, so that missed. And then there was, I'm pretty sure, there was an employee that left that had single healthcare, and an employee that came in that had family.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, well, it's actually more like three-part.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then just two more quick ones on page 11. The capital, let me see, I'm sorry. Capital, under general government, we had a $230,000 budget line item. We have encumbrances, but we have available balance of minus $35,000 for capital.
I have to look and give me 1 second. I have to remember what's in there. Oh, this is for, yeah, it's for, Hallowell. We're gonna go over on that line item for Hallowell.
So this is under capital?
Hallowell's, the demolition is under capital, yeah.
Okay.
Which is something we had discussed like a
Okay.
bunch of meetings ago. It had mentioned that that's
What-
gonna end up going over.
Okay. And then the last one is Memorial Town Hall, a few numbers down, a few lines down from that one.
Yep.
I just don't know, what does the 8820 budget line item include? What are we paying there? Is it, because I know under other line items, the gas is being paid, the electric is being paid, so I just didn't know what that number reflected in
Give me-
addition to the others.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds, I can pull it up. Yeah, it's utilities and maintenance of 7,200, water for 520, and then sewer use for 1,100. That's what makes up the budget of 8820.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And Tony, one question, the overtime line in finance is just growing. What are we
It
trying,
it shouldn't be growing.
It's about-
We haven't had any overtime since it was last questioned.
so it's
it's
almost
just-
1,100. Are we putting an end to that, or?
There shouldn't be any more reason, I mean, I don't know, do we have any more holidays? Not in this fiscal year, correct? No more holidays to use that. Then, like I said, that prior, that was the only reason we had it, was because on Mondays, if Monday's a holiday, so.
Anyone have any more questions?
Can I just ask one question? So on the, what is this thing called? The detailed report, the detailed expenditure status report. So that was ran on 4/10, but the payment of bills is for 4/15. So if you run these two at the same time, should they tie out?
The payment of bills, well, no, this was done on 4/10. The payment of bills was done on 4/10. Remember, today's 4/15, you're approving it, but this was given to you or given to Joanne on 4/10.
Right, okay, yeah, I see that, but I don't know, the totals just didn't add up on mine, so I was just curious. Because we have 5.8 million in, maybe it's just my math, but It didn't seem to add, so I was
Yeah,
just
the
curious.
The
If it was a tiny
5.8
thing.
million includes a bunch of other stuff like debt service and remember, there's sometimes, there's things that you guys might not see, like, we transfer, just like we do with the contributions for town council. Sometimes, usually, we get a request.
That's in the other report.
Yeah,
Okay.
that ends up being somewhere in there when it's not a payment of the bill, it's a transfer.
Isn't it?
So,
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks, Tony.
yep.
I'm good.
Okay. Anyone have any more questions? Anyone like to make a motion to approve the bills?
Make a motion to approve the bills on 415 in total of $5,864,558.58.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. All right, I'm going to take care of some of these department heads first. All right, I'm going to skip some of the other things that don't require any of the department heads, so we can try and move these people up. So the first one is discussion by council vote or other action on abatements and supplements. Ms. St. George?
Hi, I just have abatements tonight in the amount of $1,893.77.
Okay, the old tangibles, our favorite topic.
So have these all been taken off going forward?
Yes.
Anyone like to make a motion or have any questions regarding the abatements in the amount of $1,893.77?
Make a motion to approve the abatements for real estate, motor vehicle, and personal property in the amount of $1,893.77.
It's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion by council vote or other action on striker equipment contract renewal for Smithfield Fire and Rescue. Chief Chaudier,
What number is that?
D. Now it's just harder to find things in your packet.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here this evening to request approval to enter into a service contract that is expiring with Stryker Medical. This will be for service. What we've done is kind of packaged everything together rather than having single contracts for every piece of equipment. So this will be for service for our 2 Lucas CPR machines, our performance load system that's in our reserve rescue, 3 of our stretchers, and a power load system that's coming due. The 1-year warranty is up on Rescue 1. That's in the amount of, the 3-year contract is for $32,376. That'll be dispersed annually at $10,792. And that will take care of all the service of those pieces of equipment for 3 years. Thus, avoiding any price increases over that time frame.
Yeah, okay.
So Chief, in your letter, you said by doing it this way, you're going to be saving money. Do you know what kind of savings you're going to have from this?
It's kind of hard to tell at this point. They average around maybe 3 to 5% every year increase. And this will be taken out of the third-party billing account as well.
So 3 to 5% increase for each one of those separate ones, but now you're combining them for
Correct.
3 years?
Correct.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for the chief?
You've done business with them for a while, right?
Yeah, that's all we have is, we've had their equipment for some time.
Okay. Oh,
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the service contract for Stryker equipment in the amount of $32,376 for the 3-year contract to be paid at $10,792 annually, coming from the third-party billing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
You don't have anything else, do you? Okay, perfect, thank you. Discussion by council vote or other action on award of bid for SCADA system, water and sewer department. Mr. Dakota.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bill Dakota, 143 Black Plain Road, North Smithfield, Rhode Island, a water and sewer superintendent. If it's possible, could we take F
Sure.
out of order, please?
All right, let's move ahead to F for now. Discussion by council vote or other action on approval of 3-year contract with SCADA for systems upgrade, water and sewer department.
So I was here before you at the last meeting, and I didn't have the actual bid sheet in with the bid request. So we went out for a bid for SCADA services, a 3-year contract for SCADA services, to get a contractor to come on that I could call to do regular maintenance and upgrades to our SCADA system. And so we did put it out to bid. It looks like 4 companies looked at it. The company I reached out to that I worked with in Cumberland, they did bid on it. And they were the only ones who eventually bid on it. So all I can say is that they're a great company to work with. They don't have a lot of overhead. It's a small 3-man team, but they're extremely efficient. They work well with small communities, so it's my recommendation that, we sign on with them. In that packet, I did put a quote. It looks like we went out for a price to another company back in January of 120 and January of 2022, and they came in at around $28,000 for the upgrades we're looking at. And my next item E, you'll see that the upgrades will be a little bit over $15,000. Not for this. I'm not going to complete it all this year. The second part will be completed next year, next fiscal year. So they're a good company to work with, and like I said, they'll definitely meet our needs.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yeah, I am too. So one says repairs and maintenance of the SCADA system, and one says,
Yep. So that
And
was
one's just
actually
says-
pointed out to me, but I should have made the changes then. So it's for so we went out to bid for a 3-year contract, so.
Yeah, I think when you came before us, you just didn't have a price.
That's right, I didn't have a price.
Everything was fine. We
Yep.
just said, oh, no price.
No
so
price,
that's why.
exactly.
So are you looking at the 11,000?
What's that?
Are you looking at, is that the 11,000? $11,934?
No,
Okay.
that's for the actual upgrades, that's gonna,
Does one of these not have all I see is like an hourly rate on one of
Yeah.
them.
yeah, the hourly rate, that's the bid page, right? So we have there's the hourly rate for instrument technician, mileage charge, minimum charge for emergency call-outs,
yeah,
and then the holiday weekend hours,
Yeah.
and pots, they have 15% markup on the pots. So that's, when we call them out to do a job, that's the price, that's that's how they're gonna,
so there's no actual maintenance contract price?
there
then?
is no contract.
It's just when we call
What I'm
them.
what I'm really looking for is to be able to call one person to work on our SCADA system and not go out to bid every single time we need to do something. Because, you end up with too many companies with your hands in your SCADA system. It just, I mean, the last company we had with the price, they actually installed it in 2005, and they've been doing the work on the SCADA system since 2005.
So what is the dollar amount for this then?
So the,
Other than that breakout, what do you think in your yearly expense is gonna be?
so, I mean, for this year, I put $12,000 in for SCADA repairs and upgrades. But normally, it's $5,000. It's not that much. They come out and replace a PLC or some equipment inside an RTU. I mean, there's really not that much. This year it's quite large because the base computer is so outdated that it's not backed up anymore. It's not supported anymore. So, I got a call from the finance department. I don't know, it was at the beginning of the year saying, hey, we've got to get this computer out of here. Vertical 6 has just, told us that they can't support this anymore. They can't, so.
Okay, so what you're looking for right now, if I get this correct, is $165 an hour, then any mileage,
Yep.
$165 on the holidays or weekends.
Yep,
And this would be on an on-call basis.
exactly.
Not to exceed approximately, can we do that in our motion?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, like,
12,000?
about 5,000. I mean, this year,
5,000?
like I
Okay.
said, I did budget 12,000 because
Okay.
the system needs to be upgraded.
All right,
So now, when you say this year, do you mean like March of this year to March of next year, or just
No,
the
I
remainder
mean
of
like
this year?
from this fiscal year, 2024, fiscal year 2024.
So just until the end of June?
That's right,
Okay.
all right.
yeah.
So we have two things here, right?
Yeah, full harbor controls, yep. What I was hoping to do is get this one taken care of last meeting, obviously.
All
I
right,
didn't
so
have the.
should we take care of this one?
So wait a minute, I just
Is
have a
that-
question for Tony, because if we look at the expense report you gave us for Department 106, 107's not on that report, but 106 only has a balance of $2,500 in that account. So are you saying there's already
those-
budgeted funds in that account?
So, yeah, there is, with water and sewer, it's 85% comes out of sewer and 15% comes out of water. And so the SCADA system, our SCADA system watches both, so it would be coming out of both. It'd be coming out of both the water and sewer.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know what the balance is in 107, because 107 wasn't on this report, but 106, we only have $2,590 in, what does it say, licenses or something it's coming out of? Yeah. Unless this is already budgeted for 24, is that what you're saying?
Yep,
It's already in the budget,
yeah, and we put it in for 24,
Okay.
like 12,000.
so that's already been, so is it in there?
I'm looking right now. It's, Bill, we're looking at the water, or we're working at sewer?
Sewer.
Sewer.
Sewer, okay.
106 is water, and then sewer,
Yep.
it's not on this report, so I don't know.
Bill, which,
Oh, wait a minute, it is, I'm
is
sorry.
that, services?
So, wait a minute,
I'm
it
sorry?
is here.
Is
There's
that,
about 14 in there.
Is that professional services?
No, it's not
Software,
licenses
so
and
there is, there's
software.
like 14,000, so the majority of it's gonna come from sewer,
Sewer.
Right, sewer,
right?
yep.
Okay.
85%. Okay, so then I'll make a motion to approve Harbor Controls to handle the SCADA
Yeah,
system on an on-call basis for a bid amount of $165 per hour, not to exceed $5,000 for this fiscal year.
Second motion.
I'm sorry?
5,000
I mean,
fiscal year.
it's for the following years, yeah. For this particular year, like I said, I did, the next item is for the upgrades of the system.
okay, so we have a motion for 5,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year, right? Okay.
And second it.
We have a motion and a second, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Go ahead, your next one.
Okay, and the next one is for the upgrades to the SCADA system.
Before we do that,
And so,
point of order, so I'm just clear, is the first document that you guys voted on,
F.
the one that's dated March 5th on the top, 11 a.m.? That's
Yep.
the document we're talking about, I just want to make sure.
so that's the bid document, right? So that's the bid they submitted.
But on that document, it said 165 an hour, but a minimum charge of 250 per call out. And that's,
For an emergency call-out.
no, it does say emergency. So I didn't hear that in the motion.
You want me to put that in?
I think, because you're
Just
going
read
through
all the-
trouble with
all the
organizing
prices.
this,
Yep.
I think you should have the motion be accurate.
Okay.
that's all.
All right. I will, should I rescind and start over, or just add the?
Add that.
Okay, I will add to my motion, mileage charge per mile of 67 cents, minimum charge emergency call out $250, holiday weekend hours $165, and parts and subcontractor labor will be submitted at list price with a markup of 15%, not to exceed $5,000 for this fiscal year.
Do we need to roll call it again, or?
I will just, I'd ask you to do that, and then the motion, Madam Clerk, is that sufficient?
All right, and,
Second it again.
second, Claire? All right, can we just have a roll call for the amended motion, please?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Okay. So the second item is for the actual upgrades to the SCADA system this year. So I had them put a quote together, and the quote came in at $11,934. There's still a small pot that I'll handle next year on that, about $3,300. I'll handle that next year, but for this year, that's the quote that came in. And attached to that packet, again, I'm sorry for the confusion, you'll see that I attached the quote that we received in January of 2022. And that quote came in at $28,000, and basically it's the same upgrades I'm looking to get with Harbor Controls.
Is it the one from 321 we're talking about?
I'm sorry?
Is it the one from 321 we're talking about, the 17,000, or are we talking about the 11,000?
The 11,000.
The $11,934.
Yeah, but we don't have anything else attached.
Oh, yeah, I just have 11,934.
We don't have anything else attached, just the 11. You said you attached.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That's
I
fine.
must have put that on
That's
my,
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So that's just for this year, and then next year we'll have another charge, or is it just a
Well,
one-time
next year,
upgrade?
I mean, there's still about $3,300 worth of work that needs to be done for the final upgrade, but I'm gonna push that off till next year. So I had him prioritize everything that I needed right now, the laptop and all the upgrades on there, and he said that this wouldn't be a problem to bring that in 2025.
Okay, anyone like to make a motion for the upgrades?
I'll make a motion for the upgrades in the amount of in the amount of $11,934.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton. Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then your last one is discussion by council vote or other action on approval of contract for sewer system inspection and cleaning.
Yes, so, we have a 3-year contract with Viola of North America, and, I'd like to get him to come out and do inspection and cleaning of the Ironstone area, Mechanic Street area, and it's one of our spots that, our pump stations, gets quite a bit of action out there, so we think we've got some issues with some pumps discharging in there. And, to service that area, I got a cost estimate of about $17,750. I do budget $20,000 for inspection and cleaning of the sewer lines. So I do have an not to exceed $20,000 on this project. I'm sorry?
This year?
Yep. Yeah, so we kind of wait for this time of year, because we've got all the rain hitting the ground, and, you know, people's cellars are filling up, so.
So this appears, Mayor, this appears to be on-call services as well, is that? Because that's what it says here, the town of North Smithfield entered into a 3-year contract with Veolia North America on 8/3/2023 for on-call services. This project will be billed according to the time and equipment pricing agreed on in the contract. The cost is estimated to cost $17,750, not to exceed $20,000. So that's a project, it's not an on-call.
Right, I mean, they're going to honor the prices on the bid, when we went out to bid last year.
Oh, the breakdown of the per hour, is that what you're talking about?
That's right, yeah.
Very confusing. Very confused. Okay, so that whole area, the ironstone collection system,
Yep,
will be cleaned and inspected by Veolia.
that's right,
So 17 something, not to exceed 20,000
that's right,
this year.
yes.
Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions? Motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion for the sewer department to hire Veolia North America of 23 Ashton Parkway, Cumberland, for the cleaning and CCT inspection of the ironstone collection system. The cost of this project is estimated at $17,750 and will not exceed $20,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is discussion by council vote or other action on 2024 roadway reclamation of paving improvements. Mr. Pendergast.
Good evening. Ray Pendergast, Director of Public Works. This is an extension for a one-year contract with Miozy to continue road improvements. Unfortunately, they held the price for the last 2 years. Our engineers were telling us to be ready to pay $120 to $124 a ton for asphalt, and they came in at $118, so I'll take it, because asphalt's going through the roof right now. But we've got some major road reconstruction in the works. It's already been engineered, we're ready to go on a few streets right now. So to comply with DOT's rebate for this year, we needed to get an extension from Miozy, and the next one is from PAR for engineering, to continue that. So I'm looking for your approval to extend Miozy's contract for 1 year, 2024.
So, may I? This is for the completion of the next phase of the townwide,
It's an ongoing completion.
okay, an ongoing completion.
As we get money, it just,
Just keep completing.
the number one problem in town is roads.
Right,
I think we
right.
can all identify that.
So this will be something that's done within the next several months, or?
Within the next month, I'm hoping.
Within-
We're kind of on the fast track for this one because we need to spend by June 30th. I'm just under $1 million, so we're getting ready to do Matity Road and Pound Hill. That's already been engineered, we're ready to go on those two. In addition to the money we have, which is at 9 and change, that affords us to get the additional $355,000 from DOT. And then we can roll that into, the governor has proposed more money in the next budget, but that hasn't been passed by the General Assembly. So, same type of situation.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone have any more questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to extend a one-year contract with Miozy LLC for milling, furnishing and installing compacting milled surfaces and tack coat for roadway reclamation and paving improvements in the town of North Smithfield.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. The next one you have is discussion by council vote or other action on Department of Public Works, 1-year extension for engineering services for townwide road improvements.
This is basically the same concept, a 1-year extension to continue their services. They bill us hourly for whatever we ask them to do, and their hourly rates come off the state MPA. So the numbers are the numbers. And we really don't need a lot engineered, with the exception of what I just said, the roads like Pound Hill and Matity, any major roads, and then they do oversight when the roads are being asphalted or reclaimed or whatever we're going to do. So to move forward, we at least need another year extension for PAR to continue that work. And that comes out of my operational budget also.
Okay, anyone have any questions? And because they're on the MPA, we can just we can just extend.
Yes, yes, their contract on the MPA is good for a couple more years, I believe.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to extend the contract with PAR Engineering as requested for professional engineering services to the town of North Smithfield with the intention of completing the next phase of the townwide roadway improvements program for 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on 2024 fireworks display contract.
So this has been going on for several years now. We, this year, had to piggyback on the town of Lincoln. Warwick, they did something else, which I still can't figure out, but we were able to use Lincoln's for fireworks display, which is scheduled for July 7th, which is in the next fiscal budget. So I'm kind of ahead of myself a little bit, I guess, I have to say. I put in for the $15,000 into the upcoming budget. I haven't heard anything negative about it to date, about removing it or knocking the number down. But I need to get a contract signed. I can't call these people up July 1st and say, I want you to come next Saturday. It just doesn't the way it is. So this is all the paperwork to approve the fireworks. There's something in the contract that if I was not able to get the money in this upcoming budget, which I hopefully don't, I hope that doesn't happen, there's an out. I think it's a minor amount of money that we would have to pay to back out at the last second. This is a great community event, and I really foresee this hopefully being approved by you.
It's 15,000, am I right?
15,000, correct.
I make a motion that we approve 15,000 for, it's on the 7th, I believe, correct?
It's for, yes, Saturday, July 6th, with a rain date of
Right.
July 7th.
Okay. To be dispensed either on a Saturday or the Sunday in celebration of July 4th.
I think we would need to put pending budget approval. Is that correct, Mr. Solicitor?
I think you do. And I think you provided that in, yeah, I was just looking for that.
Yeah.
Directed. Is it in the contract? I'm sorry, I didn't.
I don't believe it's in the contract.
Oh, yeah, there is. If it's canceled before,
Huh?
really not talking about the budgetary. Would they agree to that? Would it be canceled because of budgetary constraints?
I don't know if they would,
Oh, yeah, it's in here.
I can find out. I think there's just a small amount of money. I
Is
think
that
we
what
can
he's
back
talking
out in a
about?
certain period of time.
You talking about the 500?
Oh, if they canceled, yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything. I just see fireworks canceled, it's 500, act of
Oh.
God, and lightning strikes, or some other thing, $100.
So that's what you're referring to then, is
Right.
the $500 in the event that we have to back out for any reason?
Any reason. It could be because of inclement weather or whatever.
Okay.
So obviously, I'm gonna know by hopefully the third week of June if I have to back out. In worst case scenario, if we're not budgeted for it, it will cost us $500. Still shooting for the 15,000 now.
Ray, can I ask a quick question? The Atlas didn't wanna, they're through the roof now, or they a lot higher?
Actually, I don't know if there were only 2 bids in Lincoln.
Yeah,
And,
because they're the ones that started with, that we
Yeah.
started with, and they're always amazing.
and they haven't even bid on it.
Really? It's too bad.
Do you have the ability to contact them to see if they're,
It's not my, I mean, it's, they
See,
don't wanna,
that's- Anything over 5,000 has to be competitively bid. So if they don't bid it,
oh, okay.
I
My
can't really.
mistake.
Okay, well, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Oh, you have another one. Discussion by council vote, other action on permission for Rhode Island Energy to work on poles located on Matity Road.
This is a standard request, whenever they're gonna upgrade their poles and wires, that it has to go before the town council for the approval, of which I've submitted all that paperwork for them.
So that's all it is, just basically a formality.
It basically is. I mean, I go out there to check what they're doing, but it's like me telling the gas company they can't put a new gas line in.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, why does this even need to come to us? Why does this even need to come to us?
I think it's.
It must be in the evening, you get advance notice.
Is that why?
It's,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
And I think it has to be filed with the clerk's office.
It makes sense, I was just curious.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to allow Rhode Island Energy to, let me see here. Provide some work being done to connect a new solar site on Matity Road to Nasonville Substation, reconnecting approximately 159 feet of single-phase to three-phase feeder along Matity.
That's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all the managers. All right, we'll go back to item 7, discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. Town council minutes of March 18th and 27th, and communications, Animal Control Monthly Report for March 2024, Smithfield Fire and Rescue Monthly Report for March 2024, Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Report for March 2024, Smithfield Police Department Monthly Report for March 2024, and profit and loss for fiscal year 24 quarter. Anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda before approving? I would like to remove the town council minutes of March 18th and and the 27th, and then also the profit and loss for FY '24 quarter. Anyone else?
Profit and loss. Where are you?
Everyone else all set? Anyone want to approve the consent agenda less those items?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, less the profit and loss report and the meeting minutes for March 18th and March 27th.
Is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. For the minutes of our March 18th, on the third page, a quarter of the way down, there's a topic saying quicker payment of bills, and there's no description. Do we know what we decided on that? Tony?
So I didn't put the minutes in there because this is actually going to be a, not a draft, but kind of our first experiment with using the little tabs, so when people click on it. So if there's no actual motion, I didn't put anything. I wanted to see if we could still get that link in there with no wording underneath it, so I apologize. The next agenda, we're going to use that and then kind of flip that over to the minutes and then keep these little links on it. So this was kind of an experiment, because it didn't have anything written underneath it. But
So I think at the meeting, we talked about it. You were going to consult with Marie and get back to us. So can we put something
I can
in the
add that
notes
in there.
reflect
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And then maybe in an upcoming meeting, you can let us know what the result of that was.
It's on our agenda.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Then the next one is open forum at the bottom. The second person to speak. Could you change the last name to Walling, please? Thank you. And then on the 27th, did anyone else have anything on on the 18th? Okay. On the 27th, after bills, we just kind of mentioned it tonight, that could you just make a motion that to have more oversight to what bills are being presented so questions can be brought up at the meeting? Anyone else have anything to add to that one?
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. And on the P&L statement, I guess I don't know what the as-of date was for this. There doesn't tell us.
For the latest quarter.
We wouldn't know that. It doesn't say anything on it, so we have.
March 31st.
Right, so when we get something like this, could you put an as-of date?
Yeah.
Because we can't really go through it and see where we stand if we don't know where it's from. So did you have a chance to review it and see if there's any areas that are of concern? 'Cause
I mean, it's not far off from the expenditure detail report that is in the payment of bills. Yeah, I ran through it. I gave it to Jerry-Ann to look through. We didn't really find anything outstanding. Obviously, there's some items that are going to be, at like 98% because we're near the end of the year and it's very front-end heavy. And there's going to be some things that are vice versa that. So,
So you don't, at this point, you don't foresee any need to transfer from one to another to make sure the budget is balanced?
yeah, the only item that we're going to see, the only couple items that we're going to see off the top of my head is the general government for Hallowell and then the dispatch department from overtime and longevity and health. But you can't really do budget transfers for that. They're just going to go over.
So even though we're not caught up on reconciliations, you still feel confident about these numbers?
Yeah,
Since you only have one
usually
month of the quarter?
reconciliations are minor numbers. They're not anything material for us to worry about. I've never heard of anything that's ever been material, and since I've been here, we've never had anything that's been material that's affected.
Yeah, I was only asking just because I know in the audit, they flagged some revenue as expense and expense as revenue, and I know she had mentioned that those things can be caught in the monthly reconciliation, so that's all I was just curious
Yeah.
with is.
Yeah, I don't see, I mean, I don't know, but
Right.
I don't foresee anything big happening.
And you're still good for the budget? You said by May you should be caught up on the reconciliation for the budget?
That's what the goal is here. Just as long as our, companies that we use can, our bank, Vision, other third party, when we send in a request, they can get back to us in a timely manner. I kind of had to put the hammer down a little bit on Webster to get an answer, so we finally got that.
Maybe switch banks.
That's a big one.
Thanks, Tony.
Madam President, if the council would indulge me, March 27th, I wasn't here because I was at the State House representing North Smithfield for possible potential water lines on 146 Rydot Economic Development. It was a rather large meeting that was attended by the mayor of Woonsocket, representatives from Lincoln. So that's why I was not here that evening. So if the record could show, I was at the State House.
Which, by the way, everybody did a great job over there, because it could be fruitful.
Fingers are crossed. It's just initial. It's, I don't want to go into too much detail because it's rather technical. And we're just at the beginning of trying to have water line for future on 146 while this construction's going on. With your permission, I'll work with the town clerk for the verbiage.
You just said it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Joanne, you have that for the meeting of the 27th, why the administrator wasn't here? Thank you.
Okay.
Will we get an update as to how that went? Because I received an email like the day before from somebody at the State House, and it was the first time I had even heard about that meeting. And I know we had a meeting scheduled, so I think maybe next meeting, if it has to be exact or whatever, if we could have just an update, just because I would like to know in case I'm asked questions about it. I can't give an answer to a constituent, honestly, other than what we've presented here. Because the last time I thought we were going to talk about an economic development grant potential, an RFQ process for that, and it seems things have escalated, and I think it's great if we can tap into the state and get funds for 146, but I would just like to be a little more educated, that's all.
As it develops, I'll keep you informed.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any other changes to those?
No, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. Old business discussion by council vote or other action on status/progress report on completion of specific items. The first one is facilities manager, Mr. Ogier.
Yep, so since our last meeting, I had a meeting with the president, the administrator, Department of Public Works Director, and the finance director. The process and discussion is ongoing, but the hope that something will be presented before the budget in terms of at least a budgetary expense, and then go from there. So more to come at the next meeting and subsequent meetings thereafter.
May I comment on that? We're a small town. Why not have a facilities manager cover all the buildings, including the schools? 12 buildings. There's only, what is it, about 12 buildings, right, total? That's something that I think one person could handle instead of, and we could work with the school, since we have common, what do they call that one? Yes. What'd you say? Yeah, so it'd be like a shared service, part of it could come out of their budget, part of it could come out of our budget, and we have one person that's the building facilities manager for every building in the town, including personally, because there's been a lot of back and forth about it, and might as well throw in the bathrooms and concession stand, that they can maintain that as well. I think That's something to think about. One person does every building.
Now, isn't that figured in Mr. Mr. CP's, because I know in Providence, he had 126 buildings.
Yeah, exactly, so it can be done.
I think if the discussion was more, it was very high level and nothing is off the table in terms of what a position could look like. I think the intent was to figure out what the budget and responsibilities would look at. But if, you know, as I said all along, if, you know, if there's a conversation with the school committee and school department to figure out, you know, first of all, does somebody in an existing role already want to maybe help the town in that situation? I think that person would have to be approached. And if not, I don't disagree that the town's that the town is small, that it doesn't mean that there couldn't be like potentially like a contractual position or something like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be somebody that's a town employee, et cetera. So it's just it's still early, but the hope is to have something more concrete by the time the budget comes. So, but I'll take your recommendation into consideration. Thanks, Sean.
If we have anyone who has the certification to do any of these upcoming jobs, I'd like perhaps first consideration given to someone who, whatever department they work, they can work, well, we have 4 buildings right now, 4 or 5? For ourselves, not counting the school. You don't have many. We don't have many buildings.
I think there's only 12 in the town, right, that need,
And some are like little.
no, some are very little. One of them, like the building, what is it, right in front of the high school, what's that one,
Administration.
Andrews.
yeah, I know, what is it called? The
Andrews School?
Andrews building, yeah.
But that's,
Some of
they
them are
go
tiny.
to school.
Yeah, so I'll share more details about like what the role would entail and stuff like that. The next meeting, I can do that. And, you know, it's more than just like janitorial services, which is what I've heard too. It's walkthroughs, it's working with vendors for contracts, architects, building projects, asset management, capital budgets. There's a lot that goes into it. But I can share more at the next meeting, and then we can go from there, so everyone's on the same level.
And someone brought it up to me that there's a state ruling as far as maintenance of buildings, state, that, and the girls love that in this building, windows, inside and out, every so many months have to be cleaned. And they brought it up to me, I don't think the windows in this building have ever been cleaned since you opened. You're cleaning your own, yeah. I clean mine at school too, I painted my classroom, but that's besides the point. It should have been maintained.
Right,
But
so,
there's some state mandates, certain things have to be.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's where this position would fill those voids.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is grants.
He's waiting.
Yeah. You want to set up in there, I'll set up around here as well.
What are we doing?
Are you bringing him in?
Yeah, I got.
Was this the grant writer?
Yes,
Where is he?
Didn't expect that.
the grant writer.
Oh,
Gene-
he's there, I'm
G&G,
going-
yeah, he's gonna come in electronically to
I'm going,
address grants.
did I miss something? Things up there, but.
I didn't realize he's been waiting this whole time.
Could've put him up.
I know.
Communication is everything.
Jay, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
We can hear us.
It's a delay.
We can hear him echo.
It's a big delay.
Then you hear the echo.
I'm calling him, so we can get him on.
Okay, well, let's do that. Let's keep going.
I'm here if you can hear me.
Aha. We can hear him.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you update?
Hey, Jay Grasso here, thank you. I'm good to go?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you, I appreciate your time. Page. Just a quick update, and I'll be
CCJS, the COPS hiring grant, which would pay for 3 years, both salary and benefits, for a new patrol position. If we were awarded that grant, once again, 3 years, paid salary, paid benefits, new position. I would recommend that we apply for it, because even if, say we were awarded, you're looking at roughly a year from now, and even up to 2 years to fund that position, so the council would have some time to think. If they wanted us, you're not obligated if you receive the award to accept it, but it would certainly, I think, be in the town's best interest to apply for that grant, and then if there's a change and they no longer want it, just to walk away from it. It's no harm, no foul. But we'd like permission from the board to go ahead and ask for that position. Questions?
Jay, I didn't get a updated, I didn't get anything in my packet in terms of a status update, so I appreciate the update. Is it possible for the things that are included on that normal spreadsheet, and in addition to anything else that maybe have been applied for, is it possible to get a write-up or some type of report for when you do present, so that way we can look at it in advance? Because tonight's the first time I've heard of a lot of these outside of what's already been applied for. So it just would be helpful to have.
No problem. We can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, unfortunately, because we don't have that sheet, I don't have any questions for you, and I'm sorry if you were waiting that long. I didn't realize you were waiting.
That's all right. We'll figure it out for the next meeting too. We'll just, this is, it's a learning process for both of us with the distance. But rest assured, we're in regular communication with both Paul, and when we see grants come across, and we bring them to the various department heads, and everybody's been fantastic with responding to us. If something comes across their desk, they bring it to us, and we look at it. So maybe for the next meeting, we'll just try and figure out a little bit closer time, but we'll work that out. It's not a big deal.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have anything?
I have a question. Jay, so you just mentioned when you see things coming across, and that's one issue that I brought up early on, that when you see stuff, even though we haven't brought it to your attention, that you let us know what's out there. Any of that going on?
You broke up. I apologize.
What I said was, we had mentioned before that you would be looking for grants and things that we're not aware of, and that you would bring to our attention. I'm not hearing any of that going on. Is there any of that going on right now?
There is, actually, and we've been looking. We located recently, it's a bit of a lull, we located 2 parks grants within the last week, and we'll be bringing them forward to you to see if that's something that you folks are interested in. The one has a minimal match, the other has a slightly larger match. So we'll put that in a write-up and bring that forward to you.
Okay, anything like...
The police grants were brought forward to you. Actually, that's been kind of a back and forth. Sometimes the chief sees them and brings them to us. Sometimes we see them and bring them to the chief. I mean, I can bring everything to you folks. I just didn't realize I was going to bring everything to you. I don't want to overwhelm you. Usually, we just sort of bring it to usually Paul and the department head. But I can make sure. It's still a little unclear on who I'm supposed to bring everything to.
Well, bring it, like little things like Wi-Fi in the parks, just little stuff like that. If you see floating around, that's the kind of stuff that can make a big difference,
Oh, I agree. Even if it's a small grant, and the one grant, I know the one parks grant it's a $50,000 grant, but I think it sits well with all the things that the town is doing. And like I said, that one's a minimal match. We'll be bringing that to you in the next day or so.
Right. Is that for park equipment, or what kind of park stuff?
It can be, it's a $50,000 grant. It can be pretty much for whatever you want to do. They prefer more of a signature item. Park equipment is probably a little bit lower priority unless it's something anything,
Playground?
specific to, say, ADA compliance, or, you know, I mean, we were looking at some of the things they fund, and they fund everything from, you know, stages for shows to, you know, signage, to wayfaring, to kiosks and parks and trails, things like that. Playground equipment, we want to be very specific to maybe something sensory related to perhaps autism. We've seen them fund. And we saw them funding like outdoor fitness equipment, typically geared towards seniors, which might be something you might want to consider. That's kind of a thing these days. Regular playground equipment, probably going to score low.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, anyone else have any more questions for Jay?
Yeah, I'd like to see, just bring on give us the list, bring on what you see, and then we'll decide it from there, but just show us what's out there.
Yeah, the nice thing about springtime is you typically see a lot of things opening. You know, I apologize, we brought it up, but we just started it, so it didn't have time to make it to the sheet. Another thing this week, there is absolutely zero match. I can't imagine you'd be opposed to it. We've had quite a bit of success with the Gary Sinise grant, which is for fire typically, and police, but mostly fire. And we'll have some conversations with your fire chief and your police chief as to what might best be suited, but there's zero match to that, and that is purely for equipment. So, you know, that's something I want to have a discussion with as well. We'll put that forward to you.
Nice.
Apologies for forgetting that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, look forward to it.
All right, we'll put more on paper for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, have a good night.
Thanks, Jay.
Take care.
All right, the next item is Human Resource Manager. You'll see that this was on the agenda further down, so we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Monthly expenditures, that report was good. I mean, it was,
That's what I figured, yeah, I know we had talked about a monthly expenditure report, since we had both the P&L and within the payment of bills, I figured it'd be redundant if I provided a third,
yeah.
so.
No, I mean, that helps, you know. But if you can just put the as-of
Will
date,
do.
that would help
Yeah.
us a lot, so when we're
Yeah,
reviewing
that's just
it-
something I have to manually create, so dates always,
Yeah.
as you can see in the other things that I've provided in the past, so.
Okay. The next one is the Municipal Building Review Task Force. So we have a meeting this Thursday.
Yep.
For, I'm sorry?
7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. And there's also an application in your packet for approval for Dubon. This is the sixth payment. So it's a total amount due of $70,912. Is that what it says? And this has been signed by Rebecca as well as Chris Reynolds from Dubon, saying that the work has been completed. So we would just need approval to have this processed and paid.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoice for $70,912 to Dubon Masonry and Construction of Forest Lane, East Greenwich, for the work on the police station.
Madam President, just so we're clear, are you referring to item number O for action?
Oh, yeah, it's on there, sorry.
You can move it up.
All right, so we'll move up item, discussion by council vote or other action on payment to Dubon Masonry and Construction for repairs, improvements, AIA document G702 to North Smithfield Police Station. So you had a
So
motion, motion to pay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Ms. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And that was it for municipal building review. Did anyone else have anything
When will
else?
this be paid?
Huh?
Do we know when this will be paid?
Do you know when this will go out?
You're referring to the BHNA, right?
No,
No.
to Dubon.
Dubon.
If it was just approved, it won't be until the next payment of bills, which will lead us into number 6. So I have Marie already working on the process of the next payment of bills, which should be, the next meeting is on the 6th. So they'd get a check sent out then, or the next day, but.
Okay. And the last one is quicker payment of bills. So are you saying we're gonna do them?
We're gonna start it, yeah.
Twice a
'Cause
month,
as-
or?
Yeah, twice a month. This month, we only had one meeting. The prior month, she didn't have enough time to know that this was gonna be in the process, so we're finally, the 6th, we'll get started, and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay. Discussion by council vote or other action on payment of Bogman, Hendry, and Archetype for professional services at the Hollowell School. Are you gonna handle this for Mr. Porter?
Yeah, so this is just the completion of the master plan, the services that were there to finalize that process. So the only question I had with it is there's outstanding invoices from January and February of about $24,550. Do we know if that's just an error on their end, or did we not pay them?
$24,550. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. As he's doing that, but yeah, it's just a wrap up of the master plan.
So now this is complete?
It should be, yep.
Yeah, I know when we had Mr. Porter here before, he said that that probably was already paid.
Across, yeah.
Right.
I'm looking now, I don't see it, but I'm gonna verify to make sure, but I remember when we were talking about it, it was just a cross of,
Right.
this was printed before us sending out payments. So, but I'm gonna double check to make
Yeah,
sure that
because
that's
it's
the
on
case.
yeah, they keep adding it, so I just want to make sure it's not there.
Okay, so you made a motion to pay this invoice. Is
Yep.
there a second?
Second?
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on appointment to town boards and commissions. 1, appointment to Economic Development Commission to complete a 5-year term ending 11/30/2028, appointed by the TA.
Councilors, in your packet, you received a resume as well as a cover letter from Mr. Eric Trenton. He lives on Cross Street in town. You can see from his resume, he certainly has varied business skills, and I believe he'll bring great value to the Economic Development Commission.
Yeah, ready.
May I comment?
Yeah.
If you open up his resume to the second page, I just want to, he puts, to whom it may concern, joining a committee or sitting, and I'll keep in mind, I don't know Eric Trenton, I never met him. Joining a committee or sitting on a council is more than the sum total of funds won or ordinances passed. It is a privilege, and every citizen is called to contribute however they're able. The work done here is local and personal. It is born of concern for your neighbor and love for the small actions that add up one by one to the liberty that is our birthright. I think we need more people like Mr. Trenton on committees. I think this is a fantastic candidate, and maybe he'd be interested in another committee as well, because I'm very impressed by that paragraph.
I've been, we've met twice along with the Economic Development Chairman. I'm impressed with him.
Well, pass that along, please.
I will. Thank you, Councilor. So that's my appointment.
So we'll be reaching out to him to let him know that he's in the next meeting. Thank you.
I'll call him also.
Discussion by council vote or other action on Keep Rhodey Litter-Free resolution by supporting Governor Daniel J. McKee's Litter-Free Rhode Island campaign. Town Administrator.
Yes, in your packet, you'll see this resolution that the governor has promoted to keep Rhodey litter-free. Rhode Island's blessed with beaches and woods and trails. And the thing here is to help educate and to get all 39 cities and towns on board with this initiative that he has. So hopefully you'll approve of this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrator's recommendation of formally pledging to Keep Rhodey Litter-Free Rhode Island campaign.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on reservation reclass. Tony?
So a couple meetings back, we needed 4950. Went and talked to some of the department heads of what, if they could share some change, and we found some money. So this is just approval for council for us to reclass it.
Right, because we were looking for the 4950 for the BH&A to do the site assessment at Scouters Hall, right? That's one?
Correct.
Thank you. Make a motion to approve the reclass of $4,950 with the intention of hiring BH&A to perform a site assessment and feasibility analysis at Scouters Hall.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 10 of the North Smithfield Code of Ordinance by adding Section 5-78-1, establishing the position of Human Resource Manager, and this is the first reading. Do you have to read it into record?
You don't need to read it into the record. Madam President, you can explain it briefly, and then it gets scheduled for a public hearing, at which time council can act, and you can simultaneously schedule a second reading on that same day, if you want. You can schedule a public hearing and second reading the same day.
Okay. So this ordinance basically, I can read it. It is ordained by the Town Council of the Town of North Smithfield, Rhode Island as follows. Chapter 5, Article 10 of North Smithfield Code of Ordinances hereby amended to a new subsection 5-78-1, Human Resource Manager as follows. There is hereby created the position of part-time Human Resource Manager who shall be appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the Town Administrator. The part-time Human Resource Manager is directly responsible to and takes direction from the Director of Finance and in general from the Town Administrator. The position of part-time Human Resource Manager is not in the classified service and shall receive such compensation as may be determined by the Town Council. Statement of duties, responsibilities, qualifications, work to be performed, etc., as set forth in the job description maintained by the Director of Department of Administration. And then attached, we just have a job description listing all the different responsibilities that would be tied to this position. And Joanne, can we have the date for the second reading?
It's up to the council, May 6th,
May 6th?
because we don't have to advertise, so.
We don't have, okay.
No, just afterwards.
Public hearing, but you don't have to advertise.
Okay, so May 6th, we'll put it on the,
Okay.
Is there any discussion on this? I just have a...
yeah.
I've come around, I will admit, in the beginning, I was not in favor of the Human Resource Manager, but I have come around on this. However, I might have come around a little more than others, because I believe that a part-time Human Resource Manager could cause more problems than it solves. For instance, if there's an issue and the Human Resource Manager is off, or they're on vacation, or they're a part-timer, it's their day off, I think our best bet would be to go to a firm that way we would have somebody available to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because if we have a part-timer and we have a situation that comes up and we can't reach the part-timer, the people are gonna do what they've done in the past. They're gonna reach out to Karen Bernardino, and that defeats the whole purpose of creating a human resource position. But if we go to a firm, we'll have somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever we need them. Just something to think about. And there are firms out there that would, individuals or firms that would be like on an on-call basis.
Yeah, and I know firms have reached out to, you know, kind of talk about what they do, but I just feel having the person and speaking to some people in town hall, that I feel the person sitting in town hall and getting to know the people, and people become familiar with this person and feel comfortable with this person, that if there is any issue that needs to be addressed, that they'll feel comfortable going to this person, where someone they call a firm, I mean, it's just like calling an EAP line, right? Like, you don't know who's on the other end. You know, you have no idea. You don't know if they care. You're gonna call and say, hey, I have this issue, and they're gonna be like, yeah.
Well, I say a firm, but there's individuals that can be contracted out, and things happen at very inopportune times. So if there's an incident that happens on a late night on a Thursday, or they want to report, or something happens on a weekend that somebody decides that they want to make a report on a weekend, and we have a part-timer, it might be that cause a problem, might be problematic.
It's also a manager position, so if we felt the need that we had to bring someone in on a certain day, I mean, you know, it's just calling somebody in, you know? I mean, it's just like if we had to call someone in for a shift that they were off for some reason, if someone called out sick or whatever, you know? I mean, I just think it's just, I think it's important for the person to have a connection with the people that are here day to day, so that there is no hesitance to go talk to somebody, whether it be about, you know, a union issue that they have a question on, or, you know, anything that is listed in this, you know, something in their personnel file, or, you know, the doctor's note, or, you know, something to that effect that would be handled by this person. It's just that personal touch piece that I think we're missing.
Yeah, but I don't disagree with you, but I'm just looking for more coverage, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
So I say firm, I think the right word would be consultant. So I'm just looking for someone that's more readily available 24 hours a day.
And, you know, this is just starting this year. I mean, if we find that, you know, as they get into this position, it requires more hours, then it's just, you know, it's a budgeting, and we just, you know, we can revise this, but it's just a start to get us in the right direction. I mean, we have, you know, we'd be going leaps and bounds to at least let the employees know that there is someone there, and if we do need to call them in, or, you know, or they need to call them, they're a manager, they can be called, you know.
I don't disagree. I think we just disagree on execution of it, but I am with you as far as the HR person, yeah.
Anyone else have any other discussion?
I'd like to, maybe you can answer this. Any head of a department is non-union, am I right? Head of department. So how many people do we have in this building that are union members?
Everybody who's not a department head.
That's not a number. I just figure, in teaching, you had a representative from your union, and there was a problem, you went to them, and they go to administration, et cetera.
They would still do that, yeah.
They would still do that, but this person would also handle employee relation issues or anything to that effect, that someone just wanted to talk about something.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no vote. It's just
Yeah, no,
No
just
vote.
a discussion.
You can't vote on first reading of the charter.
So it's just after the next one, so it's just
I know
bringing it up.
I know we've had votes in the past that we accept first reading, but I mean, technically speaking,
We
the
should.
charter just says you have a first reading and it goes to a second.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
tonight's just reading it into the
Reading
record,
it,
right?
And the next meeting is the public hearing, the reading. And I wouldn't care if you want to vote to accept it, but it's really not required by the charter. Some towns require 2 votes. Our charter just says that
Okay, so that will be on May 6th, right?
And you can do both days on that day. If for some reason it turns into a reason to continue, you can continue it on that day.
Okay. So Joanne, you can schedule that for both things on the
Yes,
6th?
a public hearing, then the second reading.
Thank you. All right. I think that's it. Wait a minute. Did I miss anything?
Is that looking for?
Jumping around everywhere.
Nope.
Okay, that's it. Anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.